Hi guys, so a few of you may possibly have seen my post on Instagram, Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Basically, seeing if there's any interest in me doing some YouTube videos on the Fiesta behind me here. I do another channel for some other things that I'm into, so I thought it might be a good idea maybe to crack on and do one with the Fiesta. A lot of you said basically that you hadn't seen very many Fiesta videos, that you wanted to see more Mark 1 Fiestas, so I decided to go with it. This is the first of many videos. I'm going to try and do one video a week maybe. Obviously there's an awful lot to do. I'll give you a quick walk around the car in a minute. As you can see, it's missing the front of the car there. I'll give you a little walk around the car in a minute. I've got a massive to-do list in there. I'll show you that in a second. But yeah, I'll try and do one video a week. I'll try and keep it as interesting as I can, although I know I can waffle on a bit. So yeah, I mean that's basically a little introduction. I mean I've had the car now for coming up 6 years. I've had it before out on the road before. MOT'd a couple of years ago. Took it to a few shows, Santa Pod Classic Ford show, that kind of thing. And basically we took it out. Every time we took it out, it broke down. We kind of rushed to build a bit. So it's been off the road for 2 years. Just kind of sat here getting all mucky and crappy. So have a look at the back of it here. It's just covered in crap from the trees and stuff. So but it's sat here for 2 years, and now we decided to crack back on with it, and hopefully get it done for this time next year. The end goal for this is July 2020. Hopefully to have this complete build finished. So it kind of gives us 11 months to get it built. The car will start around the front. I mean, you can see around the front here that most of it's missing. Let me just change the camera around. Yeah, you can see the front of the car there. That's the state of it at the moment. No wings, no front panel. Front panel is there. Basically the whole reason for that, as you can see there, is the new cross member that we've just fitted. It's halfway being fitted now. Obviously we plug welded the corners in. I've just got to take those welds back a little bit. That's what we're going to be cracking on with tonight. I'm just waiting for Dean to arrive, and then we're going to crack on, get this cross member finished. The next bit after that is going to be to replace all these tabs here. Obviously you can see the tabs are rotted away. I mean, there's half of one just there still. So we're trying to make this all back up around the edge there for the panel to go on. We'll clean these ones up here because I think they're actually quite good. They just need cleaning up. With this side over here, you can see the usual repairs been made. Obviously where the battery tray rusts through. So that's all going to be cut out. Now that there, I've actually got, obviously these panels are notoriously hard to find. I've got Steve at BRC Restorations down in Thanet. He's actually making me up a new inner half, so from the strut top there all the way down to the chassis rail. He's making me a new one of those up. It's going to take him a couple of weeks to do. He's obviously doing it all by hand. But his work is quality, spot on, so I can't wait to get that from him in a couple of weeks' time. And obviously once we've got that, we'll cut that out and throw that in. Can then put the front panel back on and the wings and everything else back on. That kind of then gives us a pretty solid shell. The cross member was the only bit that needed to be addressed, and that wasn't through rust. Someone had notched out. We'd notched out in here for an exhaust previously. It was done a long time ago. It was a bad move at the time, really bad decision. So that's led to us just replacing the entire cross member. Which thankfully these are now reproduced. I found a company, I think they're in the West Midlands. I found them on eBay, 235 quid, brand new. And as for a reproduction panel, it actually fits really, really nicely. You'll see some more of that as we start putting the other bits together, but actually how nicely that fits. So that's the front of it. Basically you can kind of see there's bits of loom and that in there. I won't go through too much of that. We can cover that at various stages as we put stuff back in to keep it interesting. I'll show you the inside of the car now. We've got polycard windows all round, obviously. Very little interior. I did have some Recaro seats in there, but I have recently sold those. The idea is to put a set of Kirky intermediates in there. So I sold just adjust the camera there. So I sold those on to make a bit of cash to keep the project moving. You can see the dash there. A little thing I've got going on in here which will really annoy all you Ford purists As I've actually got a Digi Dash from a Vauxhall Nova GTE, Astra GTE, sorry, in there. I'm sure that'll probably really wind a few people up, but I quite like it personally. I had it left over from a previous Vauxhall Corsa project, and I decided I'd make use of it. So I think it's quite nice. And then obviously I've got the temperature gauge there for the thermostat, and the AFR lambda gauge there, obviously for the ECU. As for the controls, I've got the switches, controls, push start there, obviously emergency off switch, extra EFI, ECU, which is I find it notoriously hard to sort of deal with, and I wish I'd kind of just gone for an Omex or something, but now that I've got it, I'll roll with it. We've got a half cage in here with harness bars. This is going to be converted. We're gonna make this into a full cage, try and weld up a full half section, and hopefully have that bolt in with a roof cross, couple of door bars. Might potentially think about putting a dash bar in, I'm not sure, but that's all to come. We have got a side exit exhaust. It's not. Let's give you a show down. It's kind of nice and dirty, but yeah, there's a side exit exhaust on there. 2.5-inch tip. I've got some steel wheels on there at the moment, some Weller steels, and I'll probably go keep those. I'll probably just polish the rim back up on them. Fuel system is probably one of the nicer parts of the car, even despite how dirty it is. We've got a race cell in there, swirl pot, twin pump setup. Obviously a lift pump there, low pressure lift pump to the swirl pot, from tank to swirl pot, and then high pressure Bosch 044 equivalent, and then a Ettman filter, main fuel filter. All hard lined in. Move some of this stuff out of the way so you can see out all the leaves and stuff in here. But yeah, so that's the fuel system there. It's on this isn't the this is just a piece of old exhaust pipe I was using to just to line the fittings up. That's obviously not staying. That will be replaced for a nice piece of chrome swage tube. And then on the side there, obviously we've got the filler neck there. That's it. So classic Ford Show 2015. That was an interesting year. Those of you that follow my Instagram, I'll put a link in the description below to that if any of you want to follow that don't already follow that. But there's a post on there about how that went. So that's essentially the overview of the car. It was originally pea green. I painted it red when I got it. Well, I say I painted it red when I got it. When I bought the car, it was in red oxide primer from a previous half-assed restoration that was done. So I kind of decided to stick with the red and painted it red. Obviously there'll be a lot of body work to do, a lot of making good to do on the inside here. But yeah, that's the overview of the car. We're going to go ahead this evening and crack on. Like I say, we're finishing this front cross member and finishing the tabs on this side. And then once that's done, we'll get on to moving that side, putting the front together. And like I say, hopefully I'll be able to bring you sort of an update once every week of how we get on with this, and hopefully the end result is by July next year we'll be doing videos of us out racing in the car and making the most of what it was meant to be in the first place, rather than the rushed rebuild that it was. So we'll crack on, and I'll cue the time lapse to this, and So while Dean's just working away on that front panel there, I thought I'd just show you the to-do list. Massively long to-do list. So there's, yeah, as you can see, to-dos with the engine, to-dos with the shell, bodywork, window vents, etc. Drivetrain. There's our to-do list down there for the drivetrain. If we go in, so we're going, I'll turn this camera around for you. You're going to see it back to front. Drivetrain, we're going for ST170 gearbox, shaft, clutch, etc. So that's what's related with that, custom made drive shafts and stuff. Been watching Mike very closely with what he's doing with his, because I'm probably going to copy exactly what he's done, to be honest. Electronics is one of the longest list, most tedious, but we'll get around there. You can see I've done a little thing there. There's a local show near me called Motors by the Motor, local castle, 2020. I want to have that as a debut show. I've got a little bet on with Dean on that. So that's the to-do list. It's fairly big. We'll carry on cracking on with the front there. Okay, so we've tied this front edge up now. You see I've tacked in a new piece of metal there with the lip on the front, obviously for the front panel to attach to. I'll go ahead and seam weld that all in, and then that's that side all sorted. The cross members all sorted, and then we just got to wait for our new panel from Steve in a couple of weeks' time to weld in there, and that's the front back together. So I'll crack on and get this welded up, and we'll see where we end up.
2 hours later.
Okay guys, so as you can see, I'm now sitting in my van because it's very dark outside. Yeah, so we finished off a bit later than I was expecting tonight. Obviously it's now dark. It's now 11:15. So we've left it there. Obviously the last you saw was us where we tacked in that little piece of metal at the front there. I did eventually get all that welded in. Just got to kind of clean back some of the welds and stuff. Obviously I can't be grinding away with welds at 11:15 at night. I'm sure the neighbours would hate me for it. So that's it for the first video. Let me know what you think about it. Stick some comments in the section below, obviously. Click the subscribe button if you fancy it. Going forward, I mean, I would try and make the videos a bit more in depth than they were tonight. Get a bit more detail in there rather than just a sort of a time lapse for the majority of it. For those of you that don't already, get over to Instagram and follow me over there. It's Little Red Fiesta. I update on there quite regularly. There's some pictures of how the car was beforehand, before we started pulling it apart again, and how it ran. A couple of videos of the engine running and bits and pieces. Next week, I think we're still waiting. We're going to be waiting a couple of weeks for this panel from Steve, like I said. So what we'll do in the meantime, I think next week, is we'll look at assembling the throttle bodies. I'm using Toyota 4AGE tapered throttle bodies. So we'll look at getting a manifold made up for them. So keep your eye out for that next week. Obviously I'll post on the socials, the Facebook, the Instagram, and that when the videos are out. But click subscribe so you get your notes on YouTube. And yeah, like I just said, stick some comments in below, anything you want to know, bits you want to see detail on, and to be honest, just constructive criticism of how you might enjoy these videos a bit more would help me out as we go through. So yeah, thanks for watching.